Twitch TV. Interesting.
Okay, the meeting is on live stream right now, so be careful of what you say. It's being recorded for possible training purposes.
I think we have that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yes. X, yep, the only one missing is Mr. Fuqua.
I'm moving because I can't see anybody when I'm sitting at the bar next to you. Oh. Just throw something I can sleep. I won't fall asleep. You might see some weird faces though, because he's been
Yeah,
kicking
Brian.
hard.
Brian or Bill?
That's Brian.
So, look at the brothers.
We'll call the meeting to order.
All right,
Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we have a forum.
Very good. Do we have members speak?
You do not.
Great. Secretary's report.
I'd like to put a motion forward to approve the minutes of March 21st, 2024.
Do I have a second?
Sure.
Okay, Steve Morrow seconds. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye or raise your hand. Aye. Any?
Aye.
Motion carries. Going to move directly into, a motion to appoint the following people to the compliance committee. And after that, they have some work to do immediately. So I recommend Charles Colucci, Jim Moxley, Eric Brunkel, Ed Castleman, John Dumas, and Lauren Gennaro to the compliance committee. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Rick Sanders seconds. Any discussion? If not, I'll ask those in favor signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. So I will ask the compliance committee under the tutelage of Jim Moxley, the chair, to recess to the bar area and carry on with your activities. Jim, do you have any questions?
No, only if there are any homeowners here who are asking for a hearing, please join the committee on the board.
Very good. Good luck.
We'll get a hearing about guilt.
You're definitely guilty. I can testify to that. You are guilty.
Let the hangman stir. Okay, let's go. The compliance hearings are now being carried on. We'll do the president's report. Typically, I do not have lengthy reports. This will probably be more lengthy than usual because it's essentially the first meeting of the new season, if you will. In your package, you'll see board liaison responsibility, committee responsibilities. I just want to highlight a few things. Number one, these are guidelines. It's not a policy, but it's a guideline that we followed for many years. So there's precedent here. I want to point out a couple things. As far as liaison responsibilities are concerned, it's pretty straightforward here. I want to accent the last bullet. The liaison is not the chairperson of the committee. Your job is to carry forth information to and from the board. On the third bullet, under committee project team chair responsibility, it's your job to ensure that minutes are taken, approved, and sent to the liaison to manage for posting. That's the job of the chairperson. But as a liaison, you need to ensure that these minutes are taken and ultimately they're delivered to Cezanne. Now, the problem we've had in the past, people will ask Cezanne, where are the minutes, as if it's her responsibility to collect them. It is not her responsibility to collect. It's your responsibility as liaison to make sure that they are delivered to Cezanne. And then you will see a little later in my strategic plan that we have all committed to post these minutes in due time. Okay. Any questions
Can you turn
about?
off the speakers in the bar? I think Jim's getting on the.
Okay, the next reminder is motion development. So let's keep in mind that all business here should be developed in terms of a motion, so that we're not telling stories and wasting a lot of time. These minutes taken, I'm sorry, these meetings take enough time. So we begin with a motion. Typically, these motions may be carried over from a previous meeting. And I'll explain a little more why as we go along. So you begin with a motion, you ask for the floor. Please do not interrupt the speaker. There's a tendency to clarify or argue or whatever. So give the speaker his due or her due, and then you can ask for the floor after the speaker is finished, and the floor is yours, and no one is allowed to interrupt you. Let's move the discussion toward the motion. Let's always keep that in mind. Make your point, try not to repeat it. That often happens, and it takes up a lot of time, and it leads to dissent and problems sometimes. Try to refrain from abstentions. We all have friends in the community. We don't want to offend anyone, but your fiduciary job as a board member is to do the business of the HOA, and you need to turn aside from personal friendships. So try to avoid abstentions. Be a good board member. And the final two, let's be civil to one another. I think we've been doing a fairly good job at this for the last couple of years. We can do better. So let's keep that in mind. And then finally, address the board of directors when we're speaking. This is a business meeting of the board. We're not here to entertain the community. So when you're delivering something, deliver it to your fellow board members, not the audience. Okay, and another item in your packet has to do with resident members. And one thing I'd like to clarify, actually two things. How does something get to the board agenda? Typically, it's delivered to the board or it's delegated. And the board member or the delegate being Mark or Cezanne, one of our staff members, will determine whether it's worthy of board action. Just because something comes up in a chat session doesn't mean that it's automatically going to end up at the board for discussion. Or just because a resident may talk to a board member, it should not be assumed that that will land as an item on the board agenda. Now, the executive committee is oftentimes where things are sorted out and developed as part of the agenda for the board meeting. Now, the executive committee is not a standing committee of the board. It is a group of officers that I call together to help me in terms of organizing the forthcoming meeting and the agenda for that meeting. And I turn to the officers for advice and direction. So oftentimes, if there's an item that comes up from a chat session or wherever, it'll be discussed at the executive session and determined whether or not it should land on the agenda. Any questions on the executive committee? Okay, House Bill 919. This bill is cited as the Homeowners Association Bill of Rights. It requires all notices for homeowners association board meetings to specifically identify the agenda items for the meetings. So this is a reminder that this changes things over the last few decades. Because, as you will recall, in meetings in the past, we're able to develop an agenda item immediately at the board meeting and take action on it immediately at the board. This is no longer acceptable or permissible under this new House bill. So any action that needs to be taken should be presented on the agenda 48 hours at least prior to the board meeting, so that everybody understands what will be on the agenda. So we are not allowed to take action on any other items unless it is on that agenda. Any questions about that? The members speaking policy, this is another refresher. It's limited to 3 minutes. And we have a requirement that it must be civil and respectful and not contain any personal criticisms. Sometimes that's hard to
Whatever it says. there is
enforce,
from-
but nonetheless, let's share that with homeowners who ask you what the rules are for public speaking at the board meeting. If homeowners are not able to attend a board meeting, they should request that they may request a statement be read by another homeowner. And I think that's okay, but I think it's also very easy to have a complaint or a problem and just send a note to the board and say, here, read this. I'm not going to be there. And especially for the board secretary, that we have this in our policy here. And I feel that if you have an issue, you should attend the board meeting and make your statement. And if you're unable, it should be for a good reason. Otherwise, we're just collecting a lot of thoughts that could bog down the board meeting. Okay, enough about speaking. In your packet, you also have a budget timeline. And John Mulligan, I presume that this timeline is accurate?
He's not there right now, but yes, he reviewed this.
Okay. So keep this in your file, because we will come back to this. And oftentimes, it's been my experience where this is shown early on about this time of year, and then it's buried. We forget what's going on, what's happening, and what's important for us to be paying attention to. So let's keep that in mind. And finally, I'm going to wrap this up soon. But in your packet, we made a commitment for better communications 2 years ago. I think we've done a very good job this past year at fulfilling a lot of our commitments and understandings that we all agreed to. So I just want to highlight a couple things here. We agreed through the strategic plan to have 2 to 4 chat sessions within our respective neighborhoods. We did that last year, I think with good results. And I want to remind you that that's an expectation this year also. With the irrigation project kind of behind us, I think people will want updates as to where we are and whatever else is going on in the neighborhoods. You're encouraged to attend each other's chat sessions. Also, that can only be helpful for the person running the chat session and important for you to understand what's going on in other neighborhoods. We also talked in 1.2 about a platform that allows seamless participation among both in-person and virtual attendees. And the accountable party is the GM and IT, and I'm not quite sure what that is. So I think we either sort that out, Mark, and define it, or we get rid of it, or we do it. But I'm not quite sure what we all agreed to back there, so. We also agreed to do quarterly reports from the board that summarizes board actions and topics of focus. That's the board chair and designees. So again, we have to figure out what that means and how we're going to do it. I think the communication committee has some responsibility there too. Okay. I'm almost through. We talked about an electronic messaging system. I put a big question mark after that. Accountable party is the communications committee. So communications liaison, put a big question there and let's figure out what that means. Now, here's an important one. We agreed to an annual charge to each committee that provides priority that the board desires, the committee focus, and based on the strategic plan. So essentially that is, each committee should be creating an annual plan that is submitted and approved by the board. So in the past, we've had criticism on both sides of the issue that this committee has gone in this direction and why are they going there? And we're not so sure we approve of that. And are they their own little system functioning on the side, or are they an appendage to the board? So we all agreed through the strategic plan to ask each committee to develop a plan that we can approve to say, yes, we're all in the same wavelength here. And we agree with it, we approve it. Last year, we had all plans submitted and approved by the board with the exception of tennis. Tennis did not provide an annual plan, and it's important that they do, and we'll focus on that one in particular this year. As I mentioned earlier, we agreed in the strategic plan that committee meeting minutes will be posted consistently on a timely basis within 10 days of meeting on the Sterling Oaks website. And all of that makes sense so that our neighbors know what's going on. That's all part of our commitment to better communicate. The accountable party is the assistant GM. Cezanne will post these, but you have to make sure they're presented to her so they can be copied in the proper form and disseminated to the community. And that's it for me. These are reminders for this coming year. And if there are no questions, we will move on to the general manager's report.
You all have my report in your packet. I probably got a couple anecdotal asides on some of these. Reminder that reciprocal season begins May 1, runs through October 31st. You'll be able to get those clubs for dining, for tennis, golf, other pool usage. I think we may even have some down on the beach. Laura's working diligently with a group of clubs just trying to finalize some of those that will be available if you click on the brochure that you've gotten in the mail. I mean, by email, you'll be able to look at that. The website has that information. Just a reminder, if you're going to go eat at Vasari or another club, that you make the reservations, especially through the front desk here, so that it's desk to desk rather than trying to call the club and make reservations yourself. Also, the permanent guest list is going to be opening them on May 1st, and that's going to run that week. That's something that tell your friends, especially those that don't want to pay attention to the emails or use a computer, that they need to at least take a look at who their permanent guest list is. Just one note, a permanent guest is one person who can come through the gate at any time of day, night, bang on your door at 2 a.m. because they're your permanent guest. So usually that's your family or somebody that you really trust. Vendors, you can put as many vendors on the list as you want. You can add those and delete those as you need, but that's something that's doesn't have a number, a limit number on there. We ask that only 6 lines go on for the permanent guests. And just a bit of historical information. The reason for this is because back in the day, an individual who was renting their house or their condo would go ahead and put a permanent guest on the week before the weekend renter was going to stay at the condo, so that they could have them access the community as a permanent guest to be able to stay at their place. And one of the key components back at that time through the Access Control Committee was to limit rental abuse. And so that is all stemming from that committee and their rules and regulations that were passed by the board. Spot the main pool sometime. We are permitting right now for that. We think that it's probably going to be June or July or late June, could be July. At this time, I have August here, but I'm covering myself because of Collier County and their permitting process is out of control. They don't have enough hands on deck, and they don't have enough wherewithal to be able to manage the number of requests that are coming through their door. So we're in line, and we expect that to get done this summer. The pool furniture that the pool committee, their final order has arrived and is all around the deck. We're still going to use the brown chaise lounges as we need. I've ordered some more sling bottoms for them, and we'll replace those as need be, just so that we have plenty of those chaises available when we need them, especially next year. But if you look out there now, there's 7 people at the pool, and that seems to be the summertime has come along. All right, the fitness center. We've been working, trying to figure out how to make the fitness center air conditioning system work better. We replaced the coils in the 5-ton unit. We have checked the air handlers. We have gone through everything. We are going to install air purifiers into the air handler to assist us with better UV light air control quality there. We're also trying to find out a way to be able to get more fresh air makeup into the air handler system down there in the fitness center, so that we can bring in more fresh air to give a better quality as well. So we're going to start at least with the air quality, and then we're going to move to the air handler system. That is probably the expensive side of the coin, and we're going to have it balanced and checked. That'll take an AC engineer to help us with all of that. So we've called a couple companies, and we're in that at this point in time. I called 2 or 3 or 4 different companies that to look at expansion of the fitness area to the multi-purpose room. I've got one quote, and I can just tell you that the base quote to knock the wall down, put an opening where the stretching area is, where the mirrors are on the wall, put a 4-foot doorway there into the back area where the TV's on the wall, and then put another wall up to cordon that place off at about 18 feet, and at least have a door in it so that you can have quick access to the rest of the multipurpose center and to the exit for fire. A couple of plugs in there, duplexes, so that there's power, because if you want to move everything, you got to move the TV to that other side of the wall. You've got to move all of the cables and equipment that were installed to do for the artwork that's hanging down there. We also don't have any money in that for differentiation of flooring. And if you're going to use fitness flooring, that's got to be put in there as well. So I got a base quote for the construction at around 16,000 some odd dollars. I would hazard to guess you're probably going to need it to be somewhere around 20 or so in order to be able to manage the flooring and some of the other movement of items that would have to be either moved into the other area or how that's going to happen. It's going to significantly decrease the amount of room that's in the multi-purpose room for multi-purpose activities. And that's something that I felt that the board needs to mull over and get a sense of that system. But anyways, I've done that part, so at least we have some idea what the cost would be to cut open the wall and put up a wall and get that cordoned off, if you want to call it. The irrigation project, talked to Steve Hall. They are looking at June 1st to begin the project. They are going to bring in a Connex container with all of their equipment supplies and park it down here at the bottom by Court 12 in the parking lot. If you all agree to pave that back road, it'll be placed onto that. Otherwise, we'll probably set it in somewhere over there on that dirt road for the time being. He has told me that they're going to start at the 2 pump stations for the controls. In other words, they're going to begin their initial digging and their initial boring to install the conduit and wire from the pump station, which is over behind beginning of Wildcat, behind the coach homes, and that's called Lake 3. That's pump station number 1, and pump station number 2 is down here at Lake 5, which is in between Willow Bend and Deer Creek. So that's where they're going to begin. I'll get more information as time goes by as to when they start moving around and getting closer to people's homes. But in the meantime, the onslaught at the 1st of June, they probably won't be getting near anybody's houses right away. The veranda deck. So moving this deck that you have out here out 21 feet, about 60 feet long, just a concrete deck with a surface that's exactly the same as there, with a white railing exactly the same as there. I've gone to 6 companies. I've finally found one that's actually putting up decks and doing construction down on Fort Myers Beach, and they've given me a quote of about $200,000. So the original quotes were $440,000, $420,000, $410,000, $390,000, all of those right in that neighborhood. So and that did not include permitting. This $200,000 would include permitting and engineering. With that, I went ahead and talked to our civil engineer that's done an enormous amount of work here over the past, Gina Green. She's done most of the SDPI work for the pickleball courts, for tennis courts, for the shade shelters, for bocce, etc. She's talked to the county. She has told us that all we'll need is an SDPI, which is called an insignificant site development plan, which is fairly menial. And also that we would need a modification to the South Florida Water Management District permit that we have, because we are no longer allowing rain to fall on the ground out there and go directly into the ground. So amazing. But she is working with Swift Mud on finding out what that modification would be. I don't think that's a very expensive proposition, because we're still looking at pavers underneath, and it's not going to be a completely non-porous surface. So that's fairly good news there, and that's something that the board will have to mull on as well. So that's about it for me. If anybody has any questions, let me know.
The May 1, the new list. I had a situation where my daughter was in. And I put her name down. And her husband couldn't get in. Now, when I placed her name, her family down, do I have to list each member of the family?
You should, the Goodrows, and I can't remember your daughter's and son's name, but you would put. Let's just say that it's the Johnson family. You don't put Mrs. Johnson, you put Bob and Nancy Johnson. Or you could put Bob, Nancy, Tim, Johnny, and Susie Johnson. So that that's the family, so that the whole family is on one line. That's the easiest way to go about it. Mr. and Mrs. doesn't really help us in those areas, especially when it's if the people are coming in separately. So that's the best way to go about it, is name the individuals on the line.
If you want your son-in-law to come in without his wife, or you calling you in, yes, you need to list him at there.
Yeah. Good. He's
Or
a-
you can tell him he's not allowed in.
He's a long distance runner. He had just done a 20-mile run. And he was trying to get back in.
Yeah, Maria wouldn't let him in. That's, who are you?
He wasn't, but she did a nice job, did what she was supposed to do. Okay, any questions of Mark?
I might just wanna change the date. from
Oh, yeah, well,
April 5th.
nope. Note that.
Okay, let's go
Ouch.
to John Mulligan.
We just do the
Treasurer's
same things over
report.
and over here.
All right. We continue where we left off in 2023. Our balance sheet's remaining strong and we're doing better than budget for the first quarter. Okay. Our operating cash is 748,000. Total cash is 1.9 million. In the first quarter of 2024, we had net income of 57,000 versus a budget of 16,000 for a favorable variance of 41,000. Tenants had a favorable variance to budget of 15,000, a net income of 32,000. There was zero expenses coming from reserves and long-term capital fund. Social had a favorable variance to budget for the quarter of $30,000. Part of that is timing. Although the weather is not the normal Naples weather we've been used to, more people attend the inside events, especially pub night. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing better than we expected. Common areas had an unfavorable budget variance of $7,000 for the quarter. And G&A had an unfavorable variance to budget of $10,000 for the quarter. G&A is made up of several line items, but the two biggest variances are capital contribution. The home resales is down $26,000, and capital improvement expense is favorable by $23,000. While I believe the favorable variance in capital improvement expense is just timing, I do not think that the capital contribution home resales income is timing. Home sales have slowed down in general. We'll continue to keep an eye on this and report accordingly. Any questions?
Questions of John? Thank you, John.
Welcome.
He's gotta do delinquencies.
Oh, yeah. Good thing you reminded me.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay, let me get to that. Okay, next page. Okay, delinquency. Oop, did I mute myself? No, okay. A motion to suspend the following members as described in Sterling Oaks collection policy and refer the account to our attorney to pursue all legal remedies available if not current by May 1st, 2024. D0065, S0103, and K0051.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Lucy seconds. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Well, thank you again, John.
Yep.
Okay, let's do old business, committee, board liaison appointments. So it's my job to propose liaisons for each committee. This is an instance where I had the executive committee, assist in terms of who we feel would be the best appointees. We've had some of your input also. So we will move forward with the appointments of the liaisons to the respective committees. Here's what will happen. We'll make the appointments and then we will distribute those that applied for each committee. And then we'll talk about that as soon as that's all. We'll lay out some direction for that. So the first appointment, I will recommend Lindia Snyder for activities. So I need a motion for that, a second, and then we'll appoint.
Motion.
John makes the motion. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, Rick seconds it. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. So Lindia is activities liaison. Okay, next is communications. I am recommending Ken Swallen for communications. I need a motion. Lindia moves. I need a second.
No second.
Lucy seconds. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, for tennis, I'm recommending Steve Mara. Ken, I need a second.
Second.
Rick? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I suppose I need to be appointed as compliance. So I need a motion.
Make a motion.
Steve makes the motion. I need a second.
No second.
Lucy seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You can have the job if you like. Motion carries. Okay, we decided that there is no further need for a bocce project team or committee for that matter. So we decided that we could dispel with that and use our people for better work, if you will. But we do have a need for a fitness project team. At least 1 year, and we will determine whether we go further or create a committee or not at the end of this particular year. So for fitness, I'm recommending Lucy. Steve makes the motion. Need a second. 10 seconds. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No opposition. So Lucy is fitness liaison. Okay, what else do we have?
Architectural standards.
Oh, yeah. Architectural standards. Rick has done a superb job in
Thank you.
the past, and we're recommending that he continue in that capacity. So I need a motion. Lindia. Lucy seconds. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
That's what you get, Rick, for doing such a good job.
Like I said, there'll be fewer friends this year.
Okay, join the club.
Yes. Finance.
Finance Committee. I'm recommending John Mulligan. Ken seconds it. And in terms of discussion with all that cast, he's a mass for us. I would recommend him. So, all in favor, John Mulligan, any opposed? John? Carry on.
Pickleball.
Pickleball, people. I'm recommending John Coyle. John has done a nice job developing the program over the last few years and developing a nice plan down the road for its expansion for the well-being of the community. We've got a big project at hand. I'm sure we all want him to see that through. So I'm recommending John Coyle for pickleball. I need a motion and a second. Lindia? Steve? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? John Coyle, carry on.
And last is landscaping.
Landscaping. I recommended Brownie. Brownie doesn't want to do it. He wants to do tennis again, but I'll refer you all to that little chart I spelled out earlier. If you've been a liaison for a couple of years, it's time to think about moving on to something else. And as I said, it's not a policy, it's a recommendation, but it's one we've had in precedent for a number of years. Now, Browning's been liaison for 2 years already. And I think it's time we move on. And as you noted here, we appointed Steve as tennis liaison. So no one board member has the option to demand that he or she be placed on any particular committee as liaison. That's a board option and a board responsibility, not an individual's. So landscape is open. Brownie is not here today. With your permission, I will offer that to him. If he accepts it, we can appoint him down the road. If he does not accept it, which he suggested he would not, then we will appoint a landscape liaison at another meeting. It's not critical that we operate tomorrow with any major decisions, so we have time on this. So we have to figure that one out. Any others? Okay, so Cezanne, if you could hand out the applicants to the respective liaisons, then we can talk about what happens next.
I'll be emailing them to everybody shortly.
Paul,
John,
are we just delaying the inevitable? I mean, we all saw the email from Brownie. He doesn't want it, so what makes you think he's gonna want it? Talking to him next week or?
Well, number one, we have to tell them there has been an appointment of a tennis liaison. That's a done deal. That's number one. Number two, I think we have to offer him the opportunity it's the only one left, and he's the only board member left. So we can offer him the landscape visit. If he says no, then we come back to the board and we find another liaison. Somebody will double up and take it over. And actually, it's a pretty good committee. Mark has a lot to do with that committee anyway. So I think we can figure that out. I don't think it's critical. I think it's, well, I won't say what I really think, but we can
Okay.
deal with it at the next meeting. Okay, where was I?
Talking about that.
So you will email everyone their list. So my recommendation is we call a special meeting. The first part of next week, we could set that date now and appoint the committees. Number one, you all have to look your applicants over and you have to pick the committee at this point. So we can't do that right now. Although we might be able to in some cases. But, I guess we could come together the first part of next week. We do it like we're doing today, either we meet here or Zoom. And the only purpose of that meeting will be to appoint the committee. How do you all feel about that?
Fine.
That'll give you a chance to look over your roster and determine, who you want.
Okay.
And if you don't have enough on the roster, if you have very few people that have applied, it'll give you a chance to recruit, or a couple days at least to recruit. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but it could be.
So we could Zoom.
Yeah.
If we may have some chair people that we want that might be away.
Yeah.
So we have to let them know about the chair people.
Yeah, well, they won't necessarily, it'll be just for the board to appoint. What you do beyond that is up to you.
But I'm saying, you have to appoint somebody who, okay, they've got to know. Okay, don't they have to be in the meeting or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, we can't recruit anyway, because the date is closed now, right? For them to apply. You really can't recruit.
Well, yeah, you can recruit. I mean, if you find that your numbers are low, you don't have enough, we can go out and recruit.
Okay.
I think
But
every
the point
committee
is,
has
if you've
enough
got-
limited.
40 people that
Yeah.
want to be on the committee, then, you know,
I haven't seen the list.
time's up, you had your chance, it's over. And let's just use common sense here, you know, we're trying to do what's best for the community. And if you need more people, we'll go out and get,
Do we approach who we want to be our chair or that?
yes, yes. All right, so let's select a date. What is Tuesday of next week?
That's the 30th, that's fine.
Tuesday's the 30th.
30th?
Yep.
All right, let's do 30th, special meeting. What time is good for everyone?
Early afternoon,
1 o'clock?
sounds good.
Just a note, I'm unable to attend that day.
Okay, 1 o'clock. Tuesday. 29th,
30th.
30.
Okay,
I'm sorry, what time was it?
1 o'clock.
Do you want it in-house or just via Zoom?
How do you all feel about that?
I'm gonna have to Zoom.
I'll have to Zoom.
All right, we'll do a Zoom meeting then. 1 o'clock. And, what, we will appoint the committees at that time. I don't know, Mark, is there any reason for you to Zoom in?
No, not if you're just gonna read down the committees and approve the committees as
That's
they
it.
are.
It's just a special meeting for that purpose only. Okay, and then you all can carry on. And we all agreed last month to postpone this to this month. So we're a little bit behind our schedule. Some committees really want to meet, some committees need to meet. So do what you can to get business moving. And some committees just don't need to meet right now. Okay, any questions? Very good. Let's move on to new business. H2B staffing, Mark.
So, the rest of the community clubs that are here in Southwest Florida are moving to H2B staffing. And the H2B staffing, really what it is that these are employees that are working in clubs, in Michigan, New York, Ohio, all up north. And they are year round. So when the summertime comes, they're up north because that's when the clubs are busy. But when the winter comes, they lay off everybody because they're closing down. They don't have the golf, they don't have the same as the opposite of what we're going through here. So they are looking for work at the clubs down here in Florida. So contacted a bunch of my compadres at the other clubs who all utilize this one attorney, Keith Pabian, and he's actually the H-2B guy. He provides H-2B visa workers for all the way from the West Palm area, the Lauderdale, all that coast, as well as the up and down this coast from Tampa down to Marco. We felt that we'd like to start small and go with 4 employees. Talking to these other communities, they are all utilizing them. Evidently, the way it works is if you get a crew in, they can come and they can work for 3 years, and then they have to go back to wherever they came from, whether it's Jamaica, Indonesia, South Africa, Ireland, et cetera. But so we're looking for 4 servers who can bartend and serve. The good thing about the H-2B visa people is that if they're coming from the other clubs, they come in and they actually know our point of sale system, Jonas, because that's what they've been working with. They understand how member billing works. They understand how country clubs work, how it's kind of different. And it's not just taking orders at Outback every day with your section. It's, we're having different, whether or not it's a pub night, whether or not it's a la carte night, a buffet, a specialty event, they all understand those types of things. So the upfront cost that I've told all of you is somewhere around 14,500 to 750. I would just say that $15,000 would be fine. Looking back over our billing over the past year, with Indeed, the $15,000 was easily spent on that for recruiting purposes to try to get the people through the door. And we're still having issues with that, trying to find the quality staffing. The construction community has taken an enormous amount of blue collar wage jobs away from places like us. Whether or not they used to be a cook, they used to be a server, they used to be this or that. As our audit chair, Nathan said, they're paying $30, $40, $50 an hour, and that's just not what takes place in these places in the clubs. So that's why they're moving to H-2B visas. So I can only tell you this is a trial effort. This is something that I wanted to float this balloon. I'd like to see whether or not it's worth it to go through one season with these individuals, find out if this really works for us. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then we can we'll try something else. Brownie suggested in one of his emails that we just increase the wage to these individuals to try to get them in here to do that. I guess that's okay, except for that you've got all the individuals who've been working here for a long time. You got Barry, Alicia, et cetera, and then what are you going to do with them? You're going to have to raise their rates to accommodate. Like, they're not going to want to be here if the other person is making $7 to $8 more an hour. So at least the H-2B visa people would come in at the same wage that we're currently paying our individuals. So housing, we do not have to provide housing for them. They have to pay and have their own housing. We don't have to provide transportation. They have to have a car. They have to be able to get to work. That's part of their deal. So that's the one good thing. Large communities such as Bonita Bay or some of the big boys down on the beach and south in Naples actually have bought and built apartment buildings for their H-2B visa because they use 50, 60 to 100 of them. We don't need that. We have a different size need, so we don't have to supply them with the housing or transportation like they do at those other communities. Questions, thoughts?
I have a question. So what's the risk in terms of, I mean, they're here on a visa, on a permit, which I guess this law firm's done all of the heavy lifting for us. So to come here, we have any liability if they leave?
Not to my knowledge. No, everything is covered by their visa law and the thing that, I guess the one good thing is that these individuals are people, they're not getting off of a boat or a plane from another country. They're actually traveling down in the United States from another state to work here so that they can go back up to that state and go back up to that same club to go to work, whether or not it's in it, up north and all of the good clubs that are all Medina and all through the Midwest and those areas up there all use H-2B visa people. So they don't want to jeopardize any of their well-being either. If they are, we contact Keith Babian if there's any issues with anything, and he handles all of that paperwork or any of the other nuances that come around it. He's putting his stuff on the line. That's why we're paying him to do the job. He's our attorney. He's our spokesperson. He's our gatekeeper, if you want to call it.
Thank you.
So how did we arrive at 4 people?
That was Nicole's request based on what she felt we'd have from a core crew here to what we would need on a fairly average season to manage the day in, day out situations with a pub night, a Friday night, our daily cabana enterprise, and that's.
So I've attended
Yeah.
all of these events, and we always seem to have enough people. Now Brownie's email wasn't saying that we should pay these people that are coming more money. It's saying that we should take the people that we see all the time at our events and pay them more money. And work that way, as opposed to bringing in the H-2B people.
Well, for instance, at the going away party that was just held out back here, we had 4 individuals that worked from contract labor that we got from Sunshine Labor and we had to hire them for the evening. That's what we end up with in certain times.
Are we also working our people like 12-hour days?
Well, we had an enormous amount of overtime, yes. So, we were short probably at least on any given day, even the pub nights that you saw, there was a problem where you only have maybe 1 or 2 people. Nicole's out on the tables, but we didn't have that ability to have 2 bartenders when we really need them behind there, plus 3 people on the floor. So, and then have management and then a runner coming from the kitchen. So,
Well, in the same line, what Lucy was asking, I've seen this in the Wildwoods. Every summer we bring in folks, and Maurice and their lawyers handle it like they want Fabian to. And I've seen it be really, really good, and I've seen it be really, really bad. So this Fabian group is going to vet these people and guarantee to us that we're not going to have an incident. You're saying they're not fresh off the boat. In Wildwood, a lot of times they are. But if they're not fresh off the boat, how long have they been in country? You're saying 3 years. Are we getting them after 2.5 years? Or are we getting them from Somalia 6 months after they got there?
those are questions that I wanted to get from the board so that I can get back to you on those. I don't know those specific. In other words, if I tell them that, yes, we're going to go for it, but we need to know, who are we going to get? Right. Are we going to get the people that are at the end of their 3-year term and we're never going to see them again? Or are we going to get somebody that just started last winter in Wildwood or up at Westchester or someplace, and then we're going to get them? Is that so that we can keep them? Also, what do we do? What happens when we bring in the 4 and 2 of them are absolutely not a fit and are a problem within our ranks? How do we manage that situation effectively? And is that something that we have to, we're going to deal with? Because he said, if you're going to ship these people out, you're going to have to ship them out, and I'll have to know why because of the contractual issue that I'm dealing with in these people. So I kind of wanted to make sure that we're have these questions from you, because I mean, I was firing a lot at him, and I've got 43 emails, but and you've seen the amount of paperwork that comes back with all the stuff on it, a lot of legalese, really. But some of the questions are truly the right questions to ask.
How's it going to affect our current employees who are making overtime now because we don't have the staff? Are they still going to make their overtime because are they now depending on that overtime?
Or are they complaining about overtime?
Right.
We've got more complaints about, can I get a day off? Why am I working 7 days in a row without a day off? I haven't seen my kids. We wanted to give them time, and that's where you saw, well, all of you know Eric, who's working as a server and whatnot. He's also, and within the acting and in pursuing a career in drama. And his thing was, I can't be here for all the times you need me to be here. I have to go and take care of my passion. So we know that those are the questions. We can only grab them for a few days. We want him here, but he's got another life, and we feel that, for instance, in his case, his time here as he moves into his career, that we're going to get less and less. We're going to have to recruit a new person to be able to take up that space. So and that's just the difficult part of it, is trying to find the new person who's a fit, because the other clubs out there are all calling for the exact same people that we're looking for.
Linda,
Mark, do you know of any small clubs like us that have been busy from this? Having people come in to work.
Well, I don't know how small. I know that, Highland Woods, I mean, Forest Glen, Stonebridge, all those people all use the H2Bs now. I just sent out a thing about Pelican Sound, who's actually going up to 10 and 10 on there.
Big clubs
Uh,
and golf courses.
Those are big clubs with golf
I know.
courses.
Highland Woods is same number
Well,
of doors that we have.
Yes, but there's the golf club and
Yeah.
then dinner every night, and to John's point. If we do get the tail end of the group. Like.
We're getting the
one
tail
that
end of the group now.
graduates the bottom of the class.
I mean, we're trolling for the leftovers now. And like the new girl that we just started, Lisa, she came from the Sunshine Workforce, and we're trying to pull her into the mix here to try to help her get assimilated into our mix. And it's difficult. That's trying to find people. We've spent an enormous amount of money on Indeed just looking for server bartenders or other individuals.
Explain what Indeed is.
It's just recruiting. Indeed is recruiting.
Here's.
It's a website.
Last year
Oh.
for the visa.
We have a problem. And this may be one solution, but if we don't go in this direction, then I think the board has to say, how do we fix our problem?
So,
What do we do then? I mean, we have people working overtime, they're telling us they have another life. We
I
don't
don't know
want
if Jay
to
wants
lose people if we push them to the brink. You may lose.
Right.
That's a
There
problem.
were clubs around the area.
Now, we've all been in restaurants where you have to wait, you look inside and there are half a dozen tables open. You say, well, why can't we be seated there? Well, we can't find the staff to fill them. We can't serve you. That's why those things are open. And we can only take so many. This is a universal problem in Southwest Florida. So if we don't go this way, we need to come up with something else, because we've got a major problem brewing. Right now, we've had a pretty committed staff, but we're pushing it pretty hard. John,
Well, to Brownie's point, Brownie's idea was to keep the people that we have and to offer more money to those people. And by offering more than our competitors are offering, maybe we draw people local people,
That's a possibility.
And
One of the
I
things
think
we
that that's a
did
good
down the road
possibility.
is we
Because I like
tacked on
that
that
good
20% mandatory tip thing. That's why you see Barry here and some of the others. Because
What's the
essentially,
you can say
we
about
kind
that
of did
too.
that 20% tip thing. Not everyone likes that idea. But we did try that, and to some extent, that answers your question. But then again, I don't know if we can go beyond that without breaking the bank or not.
And I just looked at the Beekman, 30 clubs in the area are using HGB visa people. Some are using J1s. I'm not really sure what the J1,
that's what they use in Wildwood, they want.
J1, I think they're in, I don't know what the J1s are. I know H2Bs are vetted with the others. So I don't, you have to understand that we're just looking at ideas and trying to figure out if and we're going into the summer months where I think we're gonna be okay, because we're not gonna have anybody new here. We're gonna be going into the budgetary time coming up into the year. And I don't expect anybody to really be on staff and really being recruited to being, to work until sometime around Thanksgiving anyways, because we don't really start to get the people back until November, December, and then it starts to really pile up. So we can look into the increased wage demand
Costs.
and trying to get the word out on the street too, is that we've taken our wage from XYZ to here. The people that are here will be happy, and we can keep them, and then we can also maybe help recruit. I mean, I'll be throw my own personal opinion out there. I would rather have the locals and be able to support our local folks and be able to give them a decent wage so that they could be a part of our crew and live here, whether or not they're living in Lehigh or Benita or Fort Myers or out in Golden Gate or other areas. So
It seems like a dollar issue, and we have a finance committee, and we have the finance guru over there. You could put a dollar value on both approaches.
Yeah,
and
let's keep it in perspective too, because we always have complaints and concerns about the support for food and beverage. And many people in the community don't like that. They see a deficit in that area, they want to fix it. So this will only contribute to that problem if we start jacking things up. But
Hire outsiders is gonna jack it up too. Minimum of 15,000.
yeah,
What's your concern with hiring H2B staff?
The vetting process. I mean, you're bringing in people and supposedly these companies vet them for you. And then suddenly after 6 months, they go south on you and your daughter's in jeopardy.
So arguably, anybody could fall. into
Anybody
that
can do
category,
that.
or
Our people
category.
can do that. I can't argue with that.
but we have a much easier way in the right to work state in Florida to be able to make immediate maneuvers with an individual who we've hired that's local, if you want to call it, and not H2B. If something happens and they don't work out for whatever reason, we can just go, thank you, there's the door, out the door, and there's no questions asked, there's no ramifications, there's no
Well,
flashback,
the
so.
ramification is you're starting the training process over, so.
Yeah.
When you're running a shop, you need to keep the service going, and we've all been at pub night, and we've all been at events, and you can see the wear and tear on the employees. They want to do a great job, but they're just tired. So I know you guys try to do a really good job of hiring people, but sometimes you just go into a dry well because it is high season. I think there's an opportunity. One is to get more factual information in terms of how does it work, and of all the clubs that are using them, what are the pros and the cons? Do some of that investigation. At the same time, look at the opportunity to increase the wage, and maybe it's a balance of both. I don't know, but I don't think we should just not continue to explore the H2B.
I got,
Okay, so, well, I'll just,
we got John Mulligan.
okay,
I think this is a good idea, personally. I've talked to people at Pelican Bay. I know it's much bigger than ours, but they've used this forever. I go there and they're very, 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 very happy with it. I mean, that's how they run their business. I know it's a lot smaller, but I mean, we're not getting who we want. And, a couple of comments John was saying, I agree with, but then as Lucy said, we could have the same problem with people from around here. We do have that problem. So I think probably having these people will be able to keep them longer, have less of them leave because there's so much in stake for them. So I think they'll stay longer than somebody working a week or two, say, screw this, I'm out of here. But I guess the question I have for you, Mark, is we get 4 people, one we don't like, get out of here. Do we get another one right away? Do we have to pay more money or what?
I have another question.
So all good questions, John.
Right. I mean, I know you probably don't have the answer, but those are the ones to ask, ask the person there or, or the lawyer.
Yeah.
So my question is, do we have to have a separate contract with them, or can you piggyback a contract with another big Pelican Bay or Pelican Marsh or whoever's doing Pelican Landing, so that we're not the last one on the block to get the service or the help? Why can't we be part of a package with Pelican Bay or something like that where we get 4 of the workers?
I can't answer that either. I doubt it. I just don't think it doesn't seem like in talking to the people, they've all dealt with their own, signing their own contracts for their own individuals, because then you're not depending on Pelican Bay to make decisions for you. Or if Pelican Bay is going to do it, they're going to go, we don't know what you guys are going to do down there. And then you're going to jeopardize our situation. So I would say that's probably not something we could be, that would work.
We'll work around
I know
our
for a
schedules.
fact, it still works with these people that, and he transports them like to the Ritz for the job. And they provide housing. They have a lot of benefits that we aren't going to be providing.
That's a separate situation. The Ritz and those big places all provide housing and transportation because they've got,
They pay big bucks for transportation. But
we aren't looking for that.
I don't know, I could go either way. I don't care. We need staff.
So
Well, you can ask the question.
I can ask the question, and here's Keith Fabian basically said, listen, you're late coming to the party. All of your sister clubs that are getting H-2B visa people have started the process back in January, February, March, because they need to go through the system. If you're going here in the end of April, it's almost May, I've got to have these people ready to go and have all their paperwork filed, get through the government's issues, and then try to get them down here in end of November. You're pushing me up against the wall. If you wait, I'm not going to be able to, I can't guarantee you your people, because you're coming late to the party. So I like what John is saying. I mean, I understand that having the staff here on a consistent basis would be great. As I said, but then again, I don't personally want to have to manage another, or have Nikki manage another outside group of individuals to make sure that they're coming to work every day down 41 from the extended stay up by the airport or something. I don't know. That's something that I'm a bit reticent about it as well. So I just figure we need some options out there, and I needed to know what you felt.
So let's bring this discussion to a close, and let's summarize. Mark, what did you hear?
I heard a split decision on those people that felt that it would probably be a good idea to have that consistent quality trained staff in here. However, it would be also great to be able to keep our staff and maintain the integrity of that, pay them a little more to make sure that they were happy, and then hopefully recruit some individuals, because that wage is higher, and we can get some of those locals into the house.
I also heard that, maybe the finance committee could look into this. John Mulligan, how do you feel about that? I'm concerned about our subsidy for food and beverage out there.
Yeah, well, I agree that I hear the same things you're hearing. People don't, that don't use it. Their own fault for they don't use it, but they don't like, the subsidy going up and up and up. And with this option, I don't think it's going to go up and up and up. I mean, we're paying
Right.
$15,000 up front, but we pay more than that anyway, so that's going to be a wash. So
So, how about if Mark works with the finance committee and you come back to the board with a recommendation?
okay,
Well, when?
I think we're wasting time, as Mark said. We can make a decision
I'm
if we
not-
actually think
yeah,
about doing it.
The window is gonna close on the HDBs.
Yeah.
If we carry this out for another month or two, I don't think that they're gonna have to say, wait till next year.
I don't think it's a finance issue. I think it's more, okay, do you want to keep local people? You want to try to give this a shot?
I think that the budget has the money in it, and will have the money in it to be able to do it, regardless. Simply because we haven't been over, you've seen these, as he just reported, we're $30,000 to the good in operations this year too. That gives us that's a fairly good cushion to be able to utilize towards. That's January, February, and March, by the way. So I think that if we can utilize that and look at that budget for next year, that would give us that money. Even if we're on budget, the subsidy is no greater than it would be today.
Like Paul, I have a concern though, that these numbers aren't accurate. I mean, just glancing at it, 5,100 per person for legal fee, that's 20 grand right there. And then on top of that, the feds want a chunk, and so does the state per person. So if you're bringing in 4 people, we're talking about a lot more than $20,000.
I can only say that that's what he told me was 14,500 for the 4 people. So
I don't know where he got that number.
so
It's not here.
I
But is
don't,
that the initial upfront cost, and because they've already been vetted, then it's not a double dip?
you know,
kind of thing?
I
I
can't.
know, that's my question.
No, that's a
Where
good
are these
question.
numbers
I'm
from?
just thinking out loud, so maybe there's some more questions for,
We talked about it on the 30th, you'll have more information and have 2 agenda items on the 30th.
Mark won't be present at the
Oh, that's-
30th meeting.
But I can give all the information and get the information and have Nicole do some work and answer some of those questions about local staff as well and about the wage scale.
So you want to deal with it on the 30th?
In order to answer the questions, and I have the same questions that John does. And I think that he's right on the money.
So we'll have 2 agenda items for the 30th,
Correct. Sounds good.
right?
In the mean, yeah, after the meeting, I'll write Keith Baby and go, these are the questions that the board had. And you need to answer them because what you've sent us doesn't jive with what you're telling us.
And maybe you could disseminate,
And I'll copy it.
a white paper
Yep.
so we can see what.
I'll
you come
copy
up
the
with.
board on it. Yes, I agree. Okay.
Everyone happy with that?
Yep.
Okay, great.
you.
Sure.
I want to move now to social membership fees. And, I want to place something on the table and then we can discuss it. But I would recommend that we double the social membership fee, starting immediately. So I'd like to have a discussion about that.
Is that a motion?
All right, I'll make a motion. Give me a second.
I'm second.
Steve, seconds it. So let's have some discussion about that.
Refresh my memory on where we are right now currently. Is it 1,000
It's in the packet. Hold on, it's 1,200 for a
or
single
1,200
and
and
16 for a-
1,600? Okay. That's where it is currently.
Yeah,
So Paul's suggestion is go 24 and 2,400, 3,200.
Yeah, and here's my rationale. I don't know that we are recruiting people from the outside to come in and share our amenities. I'm not sure that that's what we want to do. In fact, I hear a lot of complaints about the fact that we have a lot of people come in sharing our amenities. I look at the social memberships and I'm thinking, well, if they really want to be here, it should make it worthwhile for us to accept it. And at this point, for this rate, to share our amenities seems like quite a bargain to me. So I'm thinking, I think we have some people that say, leave it alone, we like social memberships, we have others that say we don't want anyone coming through the gates. So I'm thinking if we double this, it would make it worthwhile for us to continue the concept of social memberships. And if they think it's too high, we will have less of them. So to me, it seems like Sterling Oaks would be in a win-win situation. So I'd like to hear from you.
I have a question.
Lynn.
We have 10 social memberships, right?
Right,
And that's the maximum.
right.
And any new social membership, if someone drops out, some of the 10 drop out, they don't get any amenities, right?
No, they get the amenities. That's what a social membership is.
Okay, so it's not following the pattern of new
Yeah.
memberships like 10.
Correct.
So in other words, then whoever gets on this 10 list is gonna get all the amenities,
Except for tennis.
except for 10. Okay.
Yeah, it's outlined in your packet.
Yeah, that's all.
Right, yeah.
We have a waiting list.
We have a list of interested people. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a waiting list. We have,
400 or is it 4?
I think there's been like 30 emails. And when I say a waiting list, we have a form on our website. It just draws people to the website and they complete the form saying they're interested in it. But I mean, these forms could have been completed 3 years ago
Not waiting.
and they're not waiting anymore. Yeah.
There's no deposit to hold your spot in line, which is something we've talked about in the past, if you really wanted to be there, but I think we feel that there are individuals, especially Tarpon Cove.
Yeah.
Because Tarpon Cove social amenities cost them, what, like $8,000-9,000 or more. And those are the interested parties that want to come in. We have had some social members actually buy in to the community of late as well. One actually has retained his social membership and his
And
home
purchased a home.
because he wants to, if he rents his home, he still wants to be able to come here and utilize the place. So he has double dipping.
Okay,
We have at least one who buys a membership strictly for pickleball. Oh, actually, two, a family, I guess it is. So I'm not sure we want more people on those courts from the outside, particularly. People from within Sterling Oaks, that's another story, but when we start recruiting from the outside, that's me in my mind.
all right, Paul,
That's-
first of all, you're not gonna get any more people because you're limited to 10, okay, number one. And number two is, if you double it, I think you're probably just eliminating that, which is fine, that's what you want. But I agree with what you said in the beginning when you're talking about, oh, they're getting all this, underpaying for that. Then it's a different subject, but very relevant is, okay, then how are we, that's gonna be double what outside tennis players use or pay, and you're getting tennis along with it, so it's,
Well,
It's a
John-
I know
John,
it's different.
That's not really the same, because the tennis players joined to play tennis mainly, they got those as amenities. But with social memberships are coming here only for food and beverage and pickleball.
what does it matter? They still use it and they still have it, so I don't think, it's a different subject, but it's gotta be relevant to this. We're doubling this because they're getting so much for it. We gotta look at the other thing too, not now, but I think doubling is too much unless you want to get rid of it.
Question.
I was thinking $500 maybe or something, but doubling it is,
As I say, I was bold in my suggestion because I wanted discussion on this matter. But it's
Question.
personally speaking, if social memberships went away, it would not bother me. I think we're hearing so much from the community that, we paid for these amenities through our dues. Why are we selling them to people from the outside? Steve,
When this came up last year, I was in favor of eliminating social memberships. And I'm still there because like Paul said, our amenities are stressed. Well, it's only 10 people. Why would we let anybody in? This doesn't make any sense to me. But I could support doubling it because I think they're in the right direction. But personally, I think we should just omit them, not have any of them. Our pool, granted, this year the pool wasn't that bad because we had such bad weather. But we don't need more people on our pickleball courts or even on our hockey courts or anywhere. And this is an additional amount of money. So I figure if they want to come, at least double it, and then we'll see how serious they do.
How many people are there? Like it's 10 memberships, but is
Yeah.
that 10 people or?
Oh, they're family.
Did you have them?
right?
Some have family.
Probably 50.
It's definitely less than 20. I would say maybe like 12 or 14. There's probably just a handful of
Okay.
families.
India.
Is there still a separate membership for people who want to come and play cards?
Yes.
Yes, there's a
So that
clubhouse
doesn't
membership.
affect those people at all.
At the beach?
A clubhouse membership is
That's
just for the people who come in and play cards.
Or Mel Avery, who wants his barcode to still work
Right.
because he does home watch.
Right,
So how much-
Question here.
250,
No, I think it's $500.
$500, yeah.
Rick Sanders, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say of these 30 that were inquiries, if they're not buying it for 1,200 or 1,600, they're certainly not gonna buy it for double, so it probably
not that
doesn't
they're
matter.
not. It's not that they're
Yeah.
not buying it, we just don't have the space for them. We only have a limit on 10.
You can only have 10, so that's why.
Yeah.
They're not, they're just been interested in it if there's something comes available. That 10 have hung on for quite some time.
So the benefit for us is that we might get possibly some more income as these spots open up.
Yeah, with double.
Yeah, I don't
That we have.
I don't see a huge benefit. I mean, the people that are from other places, are they really coming here for the pool? They should have their own pools, most of them. Are they coming for pickleball? And we don't have enough pickleball courts right now. I don't see a huge benefit in keeping them, honestly.
I spoke to someone from Shark and Cove the other day and she was just over the moon what we have versus what they have and how cheap it is to come here and use it all. So,
Same thing too, the people who live at the beach don't have any amenities because they live at the beach. And they join here because it's a great deal. So we have a motion.
Any other-
You can change this at any point in time you wish. You could take and double it. We find out what they're doing. If they all go, ooh, we're not gonna go in for that. Then we maybe drop it down. We only have 4 or 5 of these social memberships and then you're starting to get to where you want to be in the first place.
Well, no one's really mentioned the benefit of having them outside of maybe some friends, common friends that you might have from the outside that come over and join you for whatever reason. But
Yeah.
outside of that, I think it's more deleterious than helpful.
Your original purpose of having social memberships was people were purchasing tennis memberships to come and use the amenities. I know that's not the case now, but we wanted to make sure that the income was reflected to offset the food and beverage subsidy, not the tennis program. So that's why we installed the social memberships, because those that actually want to come here for events that were past homeowners or are waiting for a home to come available to purchase in here, we're getting income to offset the food and beverage subsidy. So I mean, if you eliminate these, you're eliminating, at least 20, that $10,000 or $20,000 for your subsidy.
I think if you raised it a little bit or something, or quite a bit, but not double it, but I do think the vineyards, they've got ads on Facebook. They're selling memberships, outside memberships. They want them. They help their bottom line. And I think $20,000 is probably nothing to sneeze at. And if you could make it 25,000, it sneeze once less. I mean, I don't see the purpose of eliminating it. Did we have a horrible time at the pool this year?
I don't think there was ever a day at the pool that I looked down there and there wasn't an empty chair. I mean,
A lot of them like to support our events. They come to they buy the packages for the concerts. They support Legacy. I mean, I don't know.
Can you tell what they?
How about splitting the difference, go like 1,600 and 2,000?
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I said 500 each, but I go with anything. Can they bring family members in or is just, what is it?
Immediate family,
no, they can't bring anybody in.
Okay,
Can't bring a guest to pickleball.
so Sue and Joe can't bring their 6 kids to the pool.
No.
Nope.
Okay, let's consider that a motion.
You already have a motion on the table.
we're gonna table.
Are you
Okay.
amending your
Yes,
motion?
I'll amend that to increase it by, what would we say?
500?
500? Okay, yeah.
1,700 and
21?
21.
17 and 21.
Okay.
Okay,
17. Okay,
any further discussion? All right, let's all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye or raise your hand. Any opposed?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Good, thank you. Okay, let's go to basketball hoop and location and paving.
So the basketball hoop, which is down at the pickleball courts right now, when the pickleball courts go under construction and demolition, the basketball court hoop is going to be removed. We don't really have a spot for it. We don't want to put it back in the parking lot, where it was because it takes up 2 or 3 parking spaces and the cars that were parked adjacent or underneath it didn't like the dents in the hood from the basketballs. What I've asked for is if we pave the court 12 area out there where the berm is, that we could provide an area to put the basketball court or hoop in that area, and give that area at least a place to park, store items. We're gonna be doing 2 courts this year. We're gonna need to place equipment and clay and everything else like that. We have an area to store it all back there, the irrigation equipment as well. So $5,200 gets us that parking area back there, and I can put a basketball hoop and paint a half-court line or a 3-point line, foul shooting, at least in that area as well somehow.
All right, let's make that a motion. And, somebody make the motion, and we'll second it, then we'll discuss it.
I'll make the motion to pave the area next to court 12 for the purpose of putting in a basketball court and other purposes.
Lucy seconds.
Yep.
Okay, any further discussion?
One question. Could this help us with the 6 parking spaces that we may need?
He's referencing the pickleball, permit process. It could, in a way, if the county comes back and says they don't like our answer that the pickleball courts are specifically used for the people that are already here, we need to add parking spaces. We may have enough space down there to offer golf cart and motorcycle parking. It's too small for a vehicle unless we get into like the berm and all of that. And I just think that that's a larger cost that we want to get into. But we might have the availability for like golf cart parking or motorcycle parking. So
Yeah,
that's
you need
alternative.
42 feet for parking, according to our civil engineer. There is enough down there. This is just FYI to you. There's enough room down there to put parking next to a complete building, because of the amount of land that we do have down there next to court 12. So that you could move and have a fitness building with parking. You could take the maintenance building and move it over there with parking. You have enough availability to move that whole earthen mound over and everything because of the setback that's off the highway. I've got that checked on. Now, that's that's sort of sacrosanct and I think that that's not for here or there, but that's an availability to the community someday if they ever wish to expand.
Any other questions? Ken Wallen has a question.
Can we line, if we need 6 parking spots, can we line the main road coming in as parking spots? Not those,
These are all,
In Chalk Hank,
goal 1 is to do a amended parking submission with the county that we're currently working on to say, we don't need any more parking spaces. The expansion of the pickleball courts is only for those in-house. The purpose of them is so our residents have faster access to court times and they can play more. Nobody else is coming inside to use those courts. We do have backup plans of golf cart parking or putting parallel parking spaces on Sterling Oaks Boulevard in our minds if we have to go that route. But if we have to go that route, it'll come to the board to determine what you guys want to submit to the county. So we're not there yet. First step 1 is to say we don't need more parking.
but how long is it going to be delayed of starting the courts if we don't make a decision of some type? Well, if we make a decision and say, all right, we're going to line Sterling Oaks Drive for parking, that creates.
would that speed up the process, you're saying?
Right.
No,
Because
I think the county's just having their own hayfield with pickleball courts right now. So,
We'd still have to submit that as a
Yeah.
change and it may require a whole nother submittal as to how come you were putting them there, who's agreed to it, does it impact traffic? We're gonna have to do a study. Because we had asked about this when we did the clubhouse expansion as well. And we were gonna have to hire a traffic engineer to redo a whole thing for parking submittals. So I think we let this one go for a little while. And if we can get away with the easy maneuver for the golf cart and might.
now is a good time to go forward and move on those courts. If we wait until fall, then you're gonna lose court 3 and you'll actually lose court 1 and 2 because of the construction.
I think the process is as
Where did
far as
Steve
we can
go?
go with the process
oh,
currently.
he left.
I think it's
I thought he just
it's
went to the
in
bathroom.
motion, what I'm saying.
We just walked away.
And I think what they're saying is if we introduce something else,
Okay.
they start all over. So I think it's in motion. Let's see if we can carry it out. Don't tell them about social memberships.
Uh,
John,
I think that's a good idea to move, pave that and put the basketball hoop over there. Just 2 things. I'm assuming we will, when we're doing that, we'll have the netting and everything there like we do on the other court. And I'm hoping you're gonna get a new basket, a new backboard and everything. It's not so loud. It's probably made of glass.
I'll second that.
That's
So-
fine. We'll take care of all that.
Yeah, I mean, the one there now is just loud and obnoxious and not good. A nice, good glass one would,
How much do those cost?
not much. I have one in my driveway and my kids have used
Oh,
it more
John's
than,
gonna find one and send it to us.
Well, wanna
kids
add
have
that,
used-
you wanna add that to the 5,200? How much are
sure, I
they?
mean, it's not, well, look, but it's not really that expensive and they last because
That's on.
we've had ours for 10 years and
Alright,
more
I'll get it.
people have used that than the ones down there, I guarantee.
Alright. I'll get it.
6,200,
Okay,
or you can get it.
all right, I'll get it.
Lucy,
How far along is that in terms of your submission that you said it's for existing residents and, we don't
Well,
need any additional?
I'm just gonna do my due diligence here real quick and say that you have a motion on the table about the basketball hoop. If we wanna talk about pickleball
Okay.
afterwards, let's close
Yeah,
the
that's
motion.
fine. Thank you.
I agree.
okay. So we're good with that number, Mark?
Yep,
We can get the basketball thing separately from that.
yep.
We're about to now. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay.
Okay,
Do you want me to talk about pickleball?
okay. Go ahead.
I had an email pulled up, which was already typed out and discussed. So, last weekend I had a conversation with Tara, who's with the planning and entitlements that works with Fast Dry in the permitting process. The former planner at the county that they've worked with in the past received a promotion, resulting in the new planner to start reviewing our plans. So once, I think her name was Courtney, reviewed the plans, we got a 3-letter page from the county of all these things, like this one needs a title, these need page numbers, you need to indicate your court numbers, and then one being the biggest one is that they wanted 3 new parking spaces for the new court, for each new court. So Tara, her goal this morning was to make sure that we were submitting that parking amendment, hopefully by the end of today. So once she submits it, I don't know the county's timeline on how long it takes them to review it, but I've been in touch with a few of you, so I'll make sure that I keep you guys in the loop when I know.
If we run into problems, that's when we start trying to push on the putting in the other parking spaces. And I think that if they go, no,
Mhm.
you don't, then we immediately jump saying, okay, we'll create those and give it back to them ASAP. And I think we can do that as well. And I can even maybe have our engineer draw that up on our site plan and state, these are the parking areas, this is what's going to be done, and give it to the county as a submittal ASAP to help things move on.
How long will it take how long is the construction process estimated to take?
What was it originally? We were gonna start in May
2
and
months.
it was long, 4 months, because it might take physically 2 months, but the asphalt has to cure for, I think, like 6 weeks or something before you can paint it. So you're gonna see a time where like nothing's being done, and it's just because it's gotta cure. But yeah, I think about 4 months from hopefully break ground to you guys can play.
So you have a drop dead date, if you want to call it that, if we don't want to disrupt pickleball next year, to start by beginning of August.
My goal in
Correct?
this whole thing, and the engineer and Fast Dry knows, is that I want construction started before I go into labor. So
Well, I agree, but I'm saying, but if we can't,
that's what I'm trying for. Or this is gonna put me into labor, one or the other.
Good luck with
Bring you
that.
down there.
How would you look like?
So I am emailing them every single day wanting updates. I'm sure they're annoyed with me by now.
Okay, gang.
But I am looking for it.
That's it.
Move on. We have a few more things to talk about. I can't wait to talk about dogs. So let's talk about the
I
RFID.
have to go to the restroom.
There you go.
so.
All right, so RFID really is just sun pass. It's the same thing that goes on. This is not one of the windshield stickers that you use right now for going through the tolls. This goes on the headlight of your vehicle, lower portion of your headlight on your vehicle. The reason for that is it can't go on the inside of a lot of these cars that have special windshields with tinting and special metallic components. Talked to several of the communities that have started them, all of them like it. The one good thing about the RFID is it doesn't take the barcode scanner at the time that you're getting to the gate for it to open. It reads it in advance so that the gate opens ahead of time. That means that the gate won't open and close on your vehicle until it'll start to close after you go through it. And hopefully, I might probably have to put a speed bump out there to keep people from racing. We have, they're in this quote for 11,000 is the readers, and it's got 500 of the RFID tags. I
How
think
many?
500. I think what we're gonna have to do over time is run both systems concurrently and allow people to come in slowly over time to get the RFIDs and make it available to them. I won't be able to have an onslaught of individuals come through here and go, okay, there's 40 cars that all want RFID tags, and try to have Laura change it all up that day. So we'll have to do this maybe in a fashion of A through F, or, we'll have to do it with neighborhoods, or we'll have to do with stuff, and we'll just put it out there that if you're, if you're in Manatee, and Tavernier, and you wanna move to RFID, bring your car up, or if you're in Wildcat or condos or whatever, we're just gonna have to do it in a timely manner, and do it over time. It'll just, it's
So
not
why
gonna
don't we
happen.
have 740 of them? Why do we only have 500?
I just wanted to know what the quote was. We don't know if everybody, we don't have to change everybody over. And it's gonna take, I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna take years to get everybody to an RFID. So
It's our emotion, right?
it's not gonna happen, and honestly, even if, when we get them, we're gonna have to have a whole nother, probably a staff member and a half to be able to manage it, because you're gonna have to take your car, know the RFID that's associated with car, is it your car? And change it out and put it all in their system. So it's and I almost wanted to do it and say, we're no longer offering barcodes. We're moving to RFIDs. And so if you buy a new car, you're changing, or if your current barcode doesn't work, we have an RFID tag, and it'll take some time and slowly move everybody to an RFID. There's no way that we can manage an onslaught of 1,000 cars coming into the up here trying to get RFID tags over a period of 2 to 3 months or 6 months. I just think we don't have the physical capability.
So remind us again why it's beneficial to move to the new system versus what we have now.
The RFID tags are the new technology. Barcodes are phasing out. We are having a hard time finding the scanners any longer. We've had to rebuild the one at the back gate. If we want to get a new one, we're gonna have to get a refurbished one. They just aren't making them anymore, because RFID is the new technology that's in there.
But the-
What does it look like?
It's,
Is it just like a sun pass?
no, it's about this big. It's about 1.5 inches by 3/4 of an inch.
And it goes where?
On your headlight, at the bottom of your headlight.
And so you have to buy one for each car?
Yes, it sticks there just like a barcode. It's not removable.
And it doesn't come off with a heat or anything
Nope.
like that, like sun does?
You gotta get a new one.
um,
So what happens, so why can't enforce it? I don't wanna use the word enforce, but encourage, because then you're maintaining two sets, you're paying for technology and then you're maintaining.
I think down the road, we'll have to enforce it, but not on day one.
Okay.
Like, let's not have 3,000 cars here trying to get RFIDs. Like,
Right.
let's phase it for a couple months and then say as of, May 2024, we're not gonna, or 25, we're
Right.
not gonna have barcode readers anymore. Make sure you come up and get your RFID.
Or we just, or we just stop selling, cease on the barcodes and move to RFID for all people wanting new ones.
Yeah,
And then after a year goes by, we'll have a good understanding of how they manage a way that we can get them into the system, and get them onto so that we know it's you and your car.
How does the board feel about maybe subsidizing some of this transfer? I mean, how much will it cost for one of these gizmos?
They're about, I think the RFID tags are somewhere around $6 to $8 a piece, buying in bulk.
So it would cost a homeowner how much?
Well, we've been selling barcodes for $20.
20 bucks. So everybody would have to buy another gizmo for 20 bucks?
Why? Well, they don't. You can run with your cars the way they are now. You buy a new car, or your barcode fails, or you go to the washing machine, or and it doesn't work any longer. You get it, instead of getting a new barcode, you come in and get an RFID tag.
That's what you propose.
That's what I'd like to do it that way. That way, we don't,
But I think down the road, if we say that the barcodes are no longer
right,
gonna work and Mr. Goodrow still doesn't has a barcode,
Right.
he's not buying a new car.
right.
I think the club would have to give the RFID for free. Like
Okay.
if we're replacing, like if you're coming up with your car just to get the RFID, it's on us. If you get a new car, it's $20.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I
that's where
can't have everybody up here the day one when we get it. We don't, it takes time and you've all had barcodes put on, you have to fill out the little form, we have to sit there, we have to put it through the system. And we can't manage 500 cars.
Okay, but we aren't just talking the 736 doors in here, we're talking also all the tenants members that have current barcodes.
That's why I don't
We're
want.
also talking.
Yeah,
a
that's why I
lot
don't
of
wanna-
people in
that's why I
there
don't wanna-
with cards.
That's why I don't want to change it. We don't have to do this. We can keep the way what we've got, run concurrently over the next 2 to 3 years. It's,
Yeah, but it's gonna happen, Mark.
it will happen, but 2 to 3 years from now, we're fine. I mean, it'll take, if we can move through that and I just want to get the technology started. We can have those up there and nobody have RFID cards. Maybe I'll try them on my truck and she'll try them on hers. We'll see how things work for a while and then, but we can slowly move into it and get people, get them on the progress. We just know that this is the new technology that's probably gonna have to happen over time. We also wanted to talk about whether or not the back gate on Old 41 is for residents only.
Right.
No, you can go out the gate, of course, you'll be able to go out the gate. But if you're a non-resident tennis member, you're not, you have to come in through the front gate.
Right, I think that will, the first year I was down there, I attended the board meeting. And there was almost fisticuffs on the floor over traffic control and speeding in the community. And this problem hasn't gone away. I think something like that at the back gate could help with traffic control and speeding in the community. Especially if you have people coming in from the outside, they're in a rush to get to a match, or they're going to be late, or they're leaving, rushing home. I think that would cut down tremendously on the main thoroughfare between the clubhouse and the back gate. To me, this whole system would be worth it just if we could calm traffic in that regard. Lindy,
Mark, if it works on yours, and you find that it's very nice, why can't you come up with a plan, facilitate a plan where so many people are, like they do for dinner, or like this table goes up, but why can't certain number of people going alphabetically have a day come up?
We can start to do that.
and we move it along?
We don't have a problem with that. It's just a matter of logistics
I'm saying.
and
let's-
manpower. When 40 of you are waiting at the door, we're just not, you
No.
have to have, well, if I allow all of Sweetwater Bay, whatever,
No, but you know what I mean.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We have to do it over, that's why I don't have to get it done over the next 6 months. We can
All right.
wait a
do we
year or
have a
two.
motion on the
But
table?
I think it's a good thing just to start it, get it, and then we'll get there.
Do we have a motion?
No, we do not.
We don't.
Okay, what would a motion sound like?
A motion to purchase or accept the TEM's RFID tag proposal in the amount of $11,303. I would up that so that we can get more than 500 tags. Why don't you make it an even $12,000, which is $700 more.
Okay, and this would include our concern about the back gate.
It'll just take a little while to get that around the corner, and I would say that maybe what we can do is we can phase that out by the beginning of next season. Say we can put the notice out that as of October 1st or November 1st, that all non-resident tennis players must utilize the front gate, but that the back gate will no longer work for them.
So,
Any non-resident,
right,
doesn't matter.
right,
Correct.
there we go. Okay, I need that motion.
The motion, we accept TEM Systems proposal with a limit of $15,000.
Okay, I need a second.
Second,
Seconds. Any further discussion? If
So-
not,
so-
I'll entertain, John Mulligan, go ahead.
So this TMEM set or whatever you want to call it is going to be, this is includes both back gate and the front gate, correct?
Yes,
Yes. Okay, any other questions?
Can we limit the exit on the back gate?
No,
no, not by, you have to, that's exit facility, yeah, there's no way.
Well, maybe the answer is not current.
Boy,
I don't know if you can eliminate exit, like emergency vehicles, school buses.
Yeah.
things like that.
I think the expansion will help with that though, because you won't be able to make a left-hand turn out there.
Right,
anyway, So
yeah.
maybe that.
This doesn't affect the cars at all.
That's way down.
You would need to install another reader to read cards, and then you're gonna have a congestion
All right,
down there of
we can-
people
we
trying to
can
get out.
wrestle with that another time.
Yeah, that's not, I don't think
I
that's the
think,
thing.
I don't think
uh,
that's a good
we can
idea.
Control that both ways, I think that would be the best.
Yeah, you don't.
You're gonna have more congestion down there.
Okay, so motion is on the floor, we have a second, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye,
hey,
any opposed? None, motion passes. The irrigation bank loan, who's taking that, John or Mark?
John,
John, go ahead.
Okay. We went out and got two different bids for, the loans. One from Cogent Bank and the other one was from First Horizon. The costs were very similar. Cogent came back with, 'cause what's in the packet was the original bid. We went back to them and they came back with a 6.8% rate, which was lower than, First Horizon. So I recommend we go with Cogent, where we have a current relationship with them. And during the process, our account managers have been very helpful with everything going on. And also, I went through the finance committee and they recommend using Cogent also. And one of the finance members, Mike Reed, I've been working with him a lot on this, helping me go through all the different bids and everything, because his background was 35 years in banking, so he's been very helpful and he recommends this. We looked at a variable rate, given that the Fed said they're going to lower it, but they changed their tunes on that, and the variable rate would have started higher than the fixed rate. So we plan on going with the fixed rate of 6.8% with Cogent Bank.
What was the rate on the variable?
It started at 7.2.
Yeah.
So, or no, 7.4, I think. So we'd almost have to drop a point to even catch up to that.
Right,
And, it probably will go
Okay.
down, but we don't know that. So
we have a motion. John, you.
yeah, I make a motion to go with Cogent Bank as our loan for the irrigation.
Second, Lindy, a second, any discussion? No,
I got a question.
Okay,
Verizon says 6.86%. And Cogent says 7.01%.
Right. Because that's the old bid. The new bid we got was 6.8
Oh, because
from Cogent Bank. So that we put the wrong piece of paper in there.
what we got in the package.
yeah.
Yes, correct. That is incorrect.
Shows.
On the first one page.
Okay, any other questions? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any
all
opposed?
right.
Unopposed, motion carries. Thanks for your work, John.
Welcome.
Oh, good, now we can do dogs.
Oh, yay.
So I'm not quite sure what the issue is. So. Who knows?
Lindy is.
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
So Shelley Molino wrote to me through an email. She had been bitten 8 years ago. She had been attacked 8 years ago by a dog in the community. And she had another little incident. She was walking around the community somewhere, and somebody walking 3 dogs. And apparently one of them at least was on a retractable. Now, these retractable leashes, people love them, but they do retract some of them up to 26 feet. So this dog walker had 3 dogs. 2 of them, and I don't know what the other leash was, but one dog was behind trailing. The 2 were in the front, so when they're on these leashes, they roam, as dogs do, and this back one jumped out on its retractable leash and made a motion towards her. She immediately crossed the street and got away from it. The dog owner stopped and said, "Oh, I hope I didn't scare you." The dog doesn't, a friendly dog. She said, "You know what? It's scary." So I can imagine if you had 3 dogs, which we have a lot of people walking a lot of dogs in this community. They have 3, a lot of them. And I don't know if they're professional dog walkers or dog lovers, but they got 3. Now, if they're all on a retractable leash, I gotta tell you, that's not safe. They could run in the roads. They could, it's just not safe. There ought to be a rule, if you're walking your own dog on a retractable leash, fine, all right, or 1 dog, period. But if you got 3 dogs, I think we should have a rule. We have a rule that you can't go in the pickleball court without certain thing on your feet to protect you, certain type of shoe. Certainly, we can protect our people walking and riding bikes and children from 3 retractable leashes on 3 dogs.
Take all of that, make a motion.
John, make it from me.
Oh,
Go
no,
ahead.
that's a hard one.
I think if you're walking multiple dogs,
You can't use retractable leashes.
Yeah. that's a motion, right?
Sound good?
Okay, who's seconding? Whose motion is it, and who's second?
Make a motion that if you're walking multiple dogs in our community, you cannot be using multiple retractable leashes.
I'll second that.
Okay, now let's have some discussion.
It's the policy.
Who's monitoring we're gonna get a report that Joe Smith I think it was a retractable leash.
Yeah. we can say what
I'm not
retractable
sending those letters.
Now, Brownie is
I'm
not here, but he would tell you that he has a retractable leash and it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, you've got 1 dog.
Yeah. Yeah,
And that's a big
and
beauty.
I guess my question is, does this leash have a brake?
Yes.
So I guess my question would be, why can't you use the brake? What's the problem if it has a brake?
Keep it from retracting.
Yeah,
You got 3 leashes in there.
yeah.
I have a friend though, so I think this goes to a little bit of what Brownie said is. It's more about the dog and less about the leash, because I have a friend was walking their dog. And the other dog, the dog that attacked her husband and her dog was on a normal leash, and the dog got away from the leash. It wasn't a retractable leash, it was just a leash. So I'm not a dog owner, but I know we're going to run into instances where the community probably isn't happy. We passed this. Because they are good dog owners. It's just like having a bad kid. It's not the kid, it's the parents who let them do what they do. So
I agree.
tread carefully on this one.
It's not the arrow, it's the end of the
That's,
Rick,
The only dog I ever got bit by
Yeah,
was
yes. Yes, as a dog owner, I've had in the last 20 some odd years, I've had 5 English setters, weights anywhere from mid-40s to 77 pounds. Not one of them has ever attacked or bitten anyone. We talked about, saw that list of breeds about breeds that are forbidden, and which I don't care what breed they are. If the dog owner is not responsible, you're going to have a problem. You have the best breed out there and the worst dog owner, you're going to have a problem on your hands. So, I'm not certain legislating leashes is the answer. Legislate against the dog owner.
Okay, what else? I guess your motion is about 3 leashes.
Multiple dogs, when you're walking, multiple dogs.
You know, you got something over there that 2 dogs.
or
Well,
three dogs.
well, yeah, some of them are very little dogs, yeah. Yeah,
They couldn't open their mouth big enough to bite.
right, yeah.
I got bit by the chihuahua here.
Read the motion again.
A motion was
The small
made that if you're walking multiple dogs, you cannot use retractable leashes.
Whose motion was that? Lydia's?
Lindy's, and you second.
I'm withdrawing my second.
So how about if you're walking more than 2 dogs? More than hands that you've got.
I mean, just from my standpoint, you want us to send letters to people that they can't
No,
use these
I think-
leashes? I mean, who's
think
policing
you
this?
know,
There's all, yeah, the enforceability issue.
Is the compliance committee really gonna uphold a $100 fine for a leash? Jim's shaking his head no.
If you vote for it, yes or no, Shelley Molina wanted this brought to the board, I brought it to Jeannie St. George was sitting severely here by a dog that had parvo. She had multiple, operations on her hand. It happens.
But
Well,
her
I got bit by a dog here and somebody was holding
That's
it.
the owner.
so-
That's right.
I want to respect her concern.
The owner's
I'm gonna
problem.
Reasonably articulate the concern. I'm having a little trouble with that.
Shelley sent me an article from a medical magazine. And it was 10 harms to retractable leashes. So somebody.
Couldn't imagine.
Other communities have actually restricted retractable leashes.
You know who they are?
I have this,
Couldn't
I
imagine.
have a little bit of that. Keep talking while I find it.
Well, if Mark can contact the GM of those other communities and find out what their motivation was, that would help me.
Is it the leash or is it the dog? Because every time we've had any incident with a dog, we've moved swiftly to work on the owner. And that has to go with the dogs that weren't tied up in the yard. Remember, we had our friend in Manatee with dog Lucy, who was always sitting out, never on the leash. And he would
Lucy.
always come over and scare the hell out of everybody with another dog. But-
She said to Mark was 10 reasons
I-
not the retractable leash. And it starts over with, retractable leash is not so much about a leash as it is a length of thin cord wound around a spinning loaded device housed inside the plastic handle. They're designed to fit comfortably in one hand.
I don't
So
use
that's-
a retractable
I
leash
use
with my dog.
retractable leashes.
Yeah, I don't use it
And
with my
then
dog
there's-
because Valentina's a little bit of a zip.
She got far
She loves
enough
kids,
to
but she
be able
hates little dogs.
that things can quickly turn babies. Now, Shelley she was attacked. She wanted me to bring that and I brought it because I think if somebody's being injured or has been injured, they have a right to, make a request to the
And
board.
we respect that.
Right.
But
John has
I'm
it.
thinking, go ahead, John.
No, I agree with Rick and Lucy, whoever else is talking about it. It's retractable leash isn't the problem. I mean, when Shelley got bit 10 years ago with person on a retractable or the dog on a retractable leash. No,
I don't think the dog was on a leash.
No, the dog.
No,
was
but
on the leash.
anyway, so, I mean, I think the best thing you could do is maybe send out an email saying, okay, when you have your dogs, if people are around, watch a retractable
Careful.
leash or something. But I mean, to try to legislate this is goofy.
I'd be totally in favor of sending out a warning to people that the retractable leashes can be, that you should be careful when you use.
That might be the way to go. We remind.
Just be
people
careful,
there's-
yeah.
I'm not remind them.
Okay, let's vote on the motion and then you can create a follow-up motion. Unless you want to retract.
No, retract it. I just want.
Retract second?
Yeah.
You have that? So then we will put out an e-blast to the community that says what?
Exercise caution.
That's
We'll come up
another,
with something.
Yeah.
that
other
it's
people or
be
dogs
kind to your
around, watch your
neighbors.
retractable length or whatever. I mean, just,
Okay,
We'll come up with
are we
something.
good? Good, I think
Good.
if Donnie were here, he'd be happy with this resolution.
Oh,
And thank God he wasn't here because I'm bananas on this issue.
He's gonna watch this YouTube video and then he's gonna know that we were talking about him.
Well, that's okay, because I think he'll be happy about the
Thousand
resolution.
views all around.
Yeah.
and you can't call them yippee yappy dogs, by the way, John. Didn't know that.
The only dog I got there.
Yes, I
Yeah,
can.
dog.
and I will.
Okay. Does anyone want to stay any longer and talk some more? Okay, the date of the next board meeting is
May,
Tuesday,
Meeting now.
April, you have
April 30th.
Tuesday, April 30th. Are you having one in May?
we may or may not have a meeting in May.
May.
It
It may be a
depends.
May meeting,
Right
maybe.
now, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of activity that's going on or that we anticipate. If there is, it involves, we'll be in touch with you, but we will not set a date for the next meeting. I'd say keep the last Thursday of the month open just in case. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Rick moves, John Mulligan
So moved.
seconds it. I can see his hand flying. All
Second
in
it.
favor?
All right.
Motion passes.
Excellent.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I believe Steve just left.
Steve just launched.